Medallions went from this to this. So what exactly happened? Let's speed through it. Medallions were introduced in Chapter 5 Season 1, with all 5 medallions having the same ability, recharging your shield. In Season 2, the number of medallions was reduced to 4, with each of the 4 medallions having different abilities, the best one being Cerberus's. It gave you unlimited dashes. In Seasons 3 and 4, the number of medallions was reduced to 3, but they still had different and sometimes overpowered abilities, like the Nitro medallion was just completely busted. It's worth mentioning that technically Season 4 had 4 medallions. A bonus balloon medallion was added later on to celebrate Fortnite's birthday. After that, Chapter 2 Remix came out, and that season obviously had no medallions, only mythic bosses. Then comes Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, there are only 2 medallions. Night Rose's medallion that spawns at the start of the game at Demon's Dojo, and Shogun X's medallion that spawns on Loot Island. Both of these have different abilities as well, with Night Rose's constantly reloading parts of your magazine, and Shogun X's making you invisible when you sprint. Now, just looking at the current medallions without comparing them to older ones, I would say that while this one is not completely useless and can help in situations like build fights or spray situations, it's also not the greatest medallion ever. It's B tier at best. Shogun X's medallion, on the other hand, is excellent. It makes you invisible when sprinting, which allows for great rotations, especially when you combine it with their Typhoon Blade. This one is a solid A tier. But are these medallions better than the ones we had in Chapter 5? If you're a casual player, which most of you probably are, you'll agree that the old medallions, especially the ones in the Greek season, were amazing and the most fun. This dashing medallion was without doubt awesome. But if you look at it from the competitive side, it's better to have medallions and mythics which are more balanced. They should provide an advantage to the player who has them, but not be so overpowered that the players who don't have a severe disadvantage. Think of the drum shotgun. Super fun to use, but if you were on the receiving end, it just felt so unfair. That's how the Chapter 5 medallions felt. They were super fun to use, having stuff like Infinite Sprint and Nitro with the medallion, or having Siphon on Kill was awesome. But these medallions were A, super easy to get, and B, they spawned right at the start of the game, and C, there were 3 or 4 on the map. This means that players were spread out, so there was less competition for each one. So if it's like a top 5 situation and each of the other 4 players or teams have a medallion and they know what they're doing, you'll most likely lose. But contrast this with Chapter 6. For around the first half of the game, there is only 1 medallion on the map, which means there's a lot more competition for it. Same for the other one. Loot Island has always been a hotspot, and getting the medallion here is like getting a mythic havoc pump. Incredibly powerful weapon, can one-shot somebody, but not impossible to fight against. The Shogun X medallion makes you invisible when you sprint, which is great for rotations, but you can't shoot anybody while being invisible. And if a player is good enough at the game, they will definitely be able to counter this. With that being said, I will say that Fortnite does have a history of unbalanced items and weapons. Some weapons and items like the overclocked pulse rifle or the drum shotgun are too powerful, but other weapons like the charge SMG or the fire Oni mask are not powerful enough. But in this season, I think Epic has done a decent job. The Fury AR is hit scan, but it doesn't have a scope. That keeps it fair. The Sentinel pump is strong, but it only has 4 bullets, keeping it balanced. Obviously, there are some items on either end. The fire Oni mask is a bit lacking, while the Hollow Twister AR is maybe a bit too good. But like I said, overall, the season is well balanced. If you're a good player, then even if you don't have any mythic weapons or any special items or any medallions, you will not be completely dominated by someone else who does. Chapter 5 was very fun. I honestly enjoyed it a lot, and as a casual player, I would be lying if I said that the OP items weren't fun. They were definitely awesome and incredibly fun to use. But looking at this from a perspective with a mix of thought from both the casual and competitive side, I would say that Chapter 6 medallions and mythics are good and much more balanced. But maybe if we had another medallion which was a bit more fun, not incredibly overpowered or anything, just a bit more exciting, something like that would just make this season way more exciting. But despite all this, the bottom line is the current season and loot pool is good, fun, and well balanced. I think Fortnite has done an excellent job here. Whether Chapter 5 medallions and mythics were better or not is purely just personal preference. Did you prefer the Cerberus medallion along with the mythic gatekeeper, or do you prefer to run around invisible while sprinting with Shogun X's Typhoon Blade? Honestly, it may be too soon for this video because we have a year of Chapter 6 left, but given the state right now, do you prefer Chapter 6 or Chapter 5 medallions? Let me know in the comments. See you guys in the next video. Subscribe for more and use code ANEWA in the Fortnite item shop. #EpicPartner. Goodbye.